but the mission and values-driven community and culture that's been missing from our industries. And today, I hope that through the course of this presentation that will become a little more alive to you in some deeper ways. We've been working on this for a number of years, working with some of the top attorneys, CPAs, wealth advisors all over the United States. So this is really the culmination of a lot of work to bring into existence something that I hope will be a very special thing in a lot of people's lives, and I hope someday will create a larger impact than a lot of us anticipate. So if you don't mind, I'd just like to open up with a quick word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we're so grateful to be here. We're so grateful for the responsibility, the opportunity that you've trusted us with. Thank you for this beautiful place. Thank you for all these beautiful human souls who've come together into these companies. Just thank you for the unique calling and purpose you have on each one of the lives in this room. Thank you for bringing everybody here. Know that you have everybody here for a purpose, that you have good works that you've prepared in advance for us to walk in, and it's just an honor to be able to try to discover and discern what those are. We just invite you to be here with us. Would you just please come guide this conversation? Please help me to speak clearly, help our leaders to speak clearly. Just pray for understanding. Just ask you to come be present here this morning. Amen. So, what constitutes success as a human being? A lot of times we spend all this time working and we're trying to achieve these things. And we spend 60 hours a week at work. We spend most of the rest of our time sleeping. Get a little time to go do some hobbies or try to find significance on the weekends. But what is it that really constitutes a life of significance, a life of purpose? What is it that we really want for ourselves, for our children, for our grandchildren? The other day, we had our offsite meeting, and we did a little exercise where I asked the leadership team what it was that they wanted for their children. So I'd like to just kind of engage you with that same question. So who's got an idea? What is it when you think about what you're trying to create for your children? When you think about how they're going to grow up, who's got an idea on what kinds of things we want for our kids and our grandkids? Gil?
Better life than what I had, growing up.
Better life than we had growing up. Yeah. A chance to get opportunity maybe that we didn't have. Absolutely. Who else? Happiness. What do we think creates happiness? Love and affection. Absolutely.
Sometimes when you're there, very likely.
Yeah, to know deeply that they're loved, they're accepted, they're secure. What else creates happiness, or what do we want for our kids? Success. What does success look like to you, Blake? What constitutes success?
Good life, living a good life, being caring, loving, treating people with compassion.
Being caring, loving, treating people with compassion. Isn't that interesting when we talk about success? That what comes up or not. We spent a 45 minutes on this with the leadership team. The interesting thing is that nothing that comes up that we want for our kids has anything to do really with what they do. It's all who they become. It's all what they feel. It's how they experience life, the happiness, the character that they develop, all these things. So this journey started for me many years ago. I think when I was relatively young, I realized that there was going to be a lot expected from this generation. I felt like a lot expected from me. And when I was really young, the book of Proverbs, which was written by a guy named Solomon, who's one of the wisest people, kind of regarded in many traditions as one of the wisest people that ever lived, wrote this book of wisdom called Proverbs. And in that book, it talks about pursuing wisdom and how wisdom's to be desired above gold and silver. And it paints this picture of this search for wisdom as if you were searching for hidden treasure. So somewhere around junior high, I started that search. I started to read as much as I could and study and try to understand what these things, all these old dead guys were talking about in these works that had been passed down for thousands of years. And I tried to deeply internalize that over the next 20 years as I went through life and started working. and started comparing all this timeless wisdom. A lot of you guys know my passion outside of work is martial arts. And so through some of the martial arts, I got exposed to some of the Eastern traditions, and you start to get this shockingly cohesive tapestry painted by all these works that have been passed down for thousands of years of what constitutes success, and it's all the same kind of things that we just said. And I started comparing that to the working experiences that I have. Saw these people with beautiful hearts coming together, working on these multi-million-dollar projects, creating a ton of value. But often those companies were completely at odds with everything that I was learning about and studying about, and the values and character that we talk about when we sit around the dinner table. And so over the course of time, I began to dream and think, what if there was a different basis for top performers in any industry to come together, to create exceptional value together, to support each other, to help one another grow, to help each of us, just like we want for our children, to discover and become the best and highest that we can be, and to do that on a different basis, than a traditional company where the CEOs are earning 200 or 300 times what the lowest paid worker is earning, where we're compromising our integrity in order to do something, chase more money, whatever those things are. What if we could come together as a community, draw together as many mission and values-driven top performers as we could into something that looked more like a community than a company, for the sole purpose of trying to translate those values into the reality of what we do every day, the meaningful work we invest in, the meaningful relationships we invest in. And what if there was a way to capture that value that was created so that it wasn't getting pulled out of the company by the executives and shareholders, but actually reinvested into the company to continue to create more jobs and to do amazing work in the world? And that's what gave rise to LIONSBERG. So today is the day I hope we are transitioning from being a company, or rather a series of individual companies, to where we're being one community. The challenges that are facing our industry and our world now are networked and technological in nature, and they're not going to be solved by divided political parties or divided companies or divided denominations. The problems that are facing us demand that people come around together around shared values and some kind of common system to actually make progress and solve things. So the purpose of LIONSBERG is to unite a mission and values-driven community to wisely co-create a better world. Today I'm going to talk through about 10 different bullet points of some of the tangible things that this is going to mean. And all I hope that you walk out of here today is just feeling some enthusiasm, feeling like there's a bright future ahead, feeling like we are all part of something that is more than any of us individually, more than any one of these companies. And over time, we'll all learn a little bit together what it means to function as a community, what it means to try to create systems that are different than you'd find in normal companies, that help us all become our best and highest. So today I'm just going to kind of breeze through these. I'm going to make you a deal. I'll leave all my notes behind and miss a bunch of the key points that the thoughtful leadership team prepared for me. But hopefully it'll be a little less dry, and please just have grace. And over the next year, we'll just learn together. We'll learn what all these things mean. We're all discovering this together. We're all co-creating this. The first way that this starts is with a new structure that changes ownership and financial dynamics. So this is going to take a little time to get into place. Like I said, we've been spending years researching this. We now have brought on board another 8 or 10 legal entities. And going forward, I will be giving all of my equity interest into these companies into a different type of ownership structure that we've created that will have no shareholders. It'll purely be a multi-generational stewardship system, so this community can continue to grow, create jobs, attract the smartest mission and values-driven people that you guys can bring to the table, and lasts for multiple generations. So my daughter will not end up owning any of these companies. These companies are going to be secured inside of a nonprofit at the top, which will be the sole shareholder of a holdings company that's been specifically created to be able to last in our industry for multiple generations to transparently steward the value that all of you guys create when you show up every day. Bill Larson over on the end is our general counsel that has helped me kind of consolidate and mastermind this. At the end, he's going to give a very brief overview of it. And again, over the next year or so, we'll be talking more about these things. The other significant thing that this means is that as we look across multiple generations, we're not going to be dealing with estate tax issues that would suck a lot of wealth out of the company. We're not going to be dealing with me or any other shareholders pulling a bunch of money out of the company or to finance lifestyles. 100% of the proceeds of all these companies are also already being completely transparently stewarded by all these fine people sitting in front of you. And we'll be on a path over the next 6 to 12 months of education and increasing that transparency over time. Second key point is profit sharing. We've studied, again, over the last several years, a variety of different types of business structures. This journey's really taken us all over the world. I've been traveling a lot, as some of you guys know, over the last period of time. A lot of that travel's been spent studying. Just a couple weeks ago, I was able to take a few of your coworkers over to a little town called Mondragon in Spain. We're back in the 1950s in the war-torn aftermath of World War II. The Basque region, a priest was able to convince 5 guys to come together and start making parts for appliances. Just 70 years, that's grown out to about $13 billion a year, over 100 different worker-owned cooperatives working together in a different kind of structure. And it's an amazing proof point and learning point that we're carefully folding into our governance and organizational structures. In that community, 30% of all the profit that's created goes back to the people who are creating it. That structure is also common with a couple of the most successful just regular capitalist companies that are out there right now, who are finding that it's really sustainably about 25 to 30% of all the profits that's created that go back to the people creating it, with the balance getting reinvested to continue to grow the mission and values-driven community, to create more jobs, to create more stability, to keep the infrastructure and financial runway out in front of us. So over the second half of this year, we'll be sharing more about this. You guys will all know the financials of the company by the end of this year. We will be letting you guys know quarter by quarter how's the company's doing. We will all be responsible for being the empowered agents that go co-create the profits, and 30% of that will hit the bottom line and will fall through a series of different compensation buckets. Part of that will be immediate cash compensation, part of that will be a longer term basis, saving for retirement, social security type thing, etc. So we're really excited. We'll have more details on this to come. I would hope that by, let's say, Q4 or Q1, this is all a written, formalized plan. So we're working with external consultants on all these details. As you start to talk about a system that transparently stewards profit and then kicks 30% out of that to the people who are creating it, the issue comes of what is fair compensation? What is balanced compensation? Are we going to go create? Are we going to go follow the norms? I think the study that just came out shows that in a typical large company, the CEOs are making somewhere between 250 and 300 times what the lowest paid coworkers are paying. So are we going to do that, or what do we think is fair? So I've been deeply thinking and seeking wisdom on this. When a dollar is generated, right, if the answer is not just that you pay bonuses and maybe give 10% to something so you feel good, and then I take the rest of it, what is the right answer there? So we're going to be also publishing a pay scale for the company where we're compressing that traditional scale down to a fraction of that. Again, hopefully by Q4, Q1, sometime in there, we'll have a published range along with our published profit sharing plan. So you guys will really be able to see with a lot of transparency what I and everybody else in the company am doing with the value that you guys are creating, because it's not me that's creating it. It's every one of you guys when you show up every day. So this is exciting. This is going to be different. We're going to have two different anchors. One of our anchors is going to be an internal differential that we respect, that we can all look each other in the face and feel good about. The second is going to be anchoring externally, because one of the key things we have to do is make sure we can continue to attract, hire, retain, motivate the top performers in the industry who are going to go continue to drive the growth of these businesses. So I'm excited about this. We'll all learn together. There will be some awkward moments, and we're going to embrace them and learn and grow together. Next part, reinvestment and job creation. So in a little bit, we'll talk about some of the nonprofit issues, but big picture, we've got 30% of the profit going to the people creating it. We've got a minimum of 10% going to fund our external nonprofit initiatives. And then we've got roughly 60% left over, which will be reinvested to grow jobs and create more stability, more infrastructure, and just continue to expand the stability and health of our community. And again, what makes this possible is figuring out the system where we can grow without shareholders. So traditionally, the shareholders will pull a bunch of the wealth out each year that's created. In this case, we'll all be transparently watching what's happening. It's going to be plowed back into creating and growing more jobs. All of that should create quite a bit more opportunity and security than any of us have been seeing in the past. I'm deeply grateful. Actually many of you guys have been around for a number of years now. We've all struggled and labored together to get this thing off the ground. I'm just deeply grateful for the understanding and patience everybody's had as we've got rocking. You're going to need more of it in the future, because that's the nature of companies. But all of this reinvestment, transparency, et cetera, should tremendously increase the opportunity available to all of us. The second thing we're doing is becoming more of an integrated community. We're forming an efficient shared administrative services platform. So to date, S90 Technology, Matlock Design Build, Rockforce, each have had their own overhead structures, their own accountants, their own HR people, their own, all these different administrative structures. And so one of the things that we've seen, we're a lot stronger together than we are separately. Each of us in this room has unique gifts, talents, skills, abilities. And where the magic happens is when each of us does that in a coordinated plan, a coordinated way, playing our unique best and highest role where we're passionate and create value, but in an efficient, coordinated way. So in a little bit, Jeff will be talking about that. Jeff Hale is the integrator of that One LIONSBERG platform. You'll learn more about that in a minute. The other thing we're doing is we're going to go to a shared, efficient employment model. And so right now, we are all legally employed by a number of different companies. Going forward at some point here, let's just say probably sometime Q4 or Q1, we're putting together what's called a professional employment organization. So there will be a single employer of record for the entire community. This lets us pool all of our benefits buying, all of our purchasing power into a single place. It will make it not only a lot more cost effective, but it should also allow us to go get better benefits and be more competitive over time. Bill Larson's gonna touch on that a little bit more coming up. The other thing is, so far I would say I've been terrible at communication. There's been a lot of thought and planning that's gone into all this, and it's been hard to communicate it in pieces. So going forward, we're going to get a lot better at that, I hope. And you guys and the leadership team are going to hold me accountable to that. But we want to set up a constant communication flow, constant accountability flow. And that communication and accountability is not one way, that's two ways. It's you guys hold us as the servant leaders supporting you accountable in the same way that we need to hold the companies accountable for the execution of the work. So over the next quarter, we'll be working on defining and rolling out some of those just really practical communication rhythms that'll hopefully keep us all aligned and rolling in the right direction. We'll be starting to publish a little more detail on our longer range planning. We follow an organizational operating system that creates clear alignment on a picture that's a few years out, backs that off into a one-year plan. And then every quarter we have an all-day offsite with the leadership team to set quarterly priorities for what we're going to execute that quarter in order to make sure we're on track for the one-year plan and the three-year plan. So we'll be doing our best to loop everybody into those communication rhythms. Again, I apologize for my lack of communication here in the past, and we'll do our best to get better on that. The last thing is actually this is not the last thing, I didn't mean to say that. Coaching, mentoring, and becoming. So every person in this room is important, right? Each of us has a role to play, and it's not about what each of us is doing, but it's a matter of who we're becoming. And so we're going to provide an emphasis in our culture on mentoring, coaching, and helping each one of us discover and become the best we can be as part of this broader community. There's already a number of people that are starting to work across multiple organizations where they have different skills and talents and abilities outside of the individual organization they've traditionally been in. So over the next couple quarters, we'll be meeting with each one of you to get to know you deeper, to find out who you are, and not just as a worker, but as a human being and a soul that has an important mission, finding out what that is, and hopefully working with you to co-create a career path that is that's very meaningful, that gets you plugged in and gives you opportunities to grow and progress and become what it is. Obviously, those need to be tempered against the active live jobs that are in the community, but quarter by quarter, year by year, we'll forge the best way we can to provide a fit for your skills, talents, and abilities with a place in the company to provide value. And we should all be able to get better doing this. A key part of any of these change processes is grace. Right now we hear a lot in the media about justice, economic justice, social justice, and justice is really getting what we deserve. But that's not really the way that God has treated me over the course of my life. I actually prefer the grace one where I get more than I deserve. And so having a culture of forgiveness, second chances, bearing with one another, it's difficult to get a group of 100 human beings aligned and rowing in the same direction. You guys see that all the time. That's why our political and many systems are a mess, because it's hard to keep people aligned. So it's going to be really important that we're all super gracious, super forgiving with each other, that we bear with each other's goods and bads, help each other to become the best we can be. But this is a process. Being in a community or being in a family takes a lot of hard work, a lot of bearing with each other. But ultimately what that does is it facilitates a safe, honest, open, transparent culture, right? We're all going to make mistakes, and I will be the foremost mistake maker among us. And so we have to just have a culture where those mistakes get quickly brought up, addressed, we forgive one another, and we move on. Culture of service and generosity. So over the last year, we've got two things kicked off. We've got our nonprofit fund kicked off, and then Kelsey's done a great job getting our days of service kicked off. I'm really grateful for each of you that has attended. Ultimately, success is not just about acquiring for ourselves, but it's about living a life of service and giving back. And that's really where the highest meaning is created in life, is when we go out and are able to give back to the community around us and sacrifice and serve a little bit. So we'll be launching a variety of nonprofit initiatives. Right now we actually have two of our team members in Africa visiting the schools for nonprofits that are operating or for orphans, that are operating in Kenya and Tanzania. We've just completed fundraising for the girls' dormitory in Tanzania to bring another 30 orphans into that school here in January. That school is getting up and going. And then we've got a variety of other nonprofit initiatives, a couple other nonprofit partners that we're going to be coordinating into a joint strategic plan to go hopefully create some good impact in the world. Kelsey is going to continue to grow and expand our days of service and our opportunities for us to come together outside of work and serve the world around us. She'll share a little bit more about that. This is the last point that I'm going to make before I invite someone else up. Unity and community is the prerequisite for becoming our best and highest. So I've watched this growing up in churches and watching religious denominations at war with each other. I've watched this being on boards of nonprofits and seeing the inefficiency that comes when you've got 10 different nonprofits next to each other trying to do the same thing. I've seen the inefficiency even in our little family of companies when we've got a few different companies with redundant functions and people working on the same things and not contributing across lines. And so elevating ourselves to where we really see ourselves as one community, regardless of the legal entity we're working for that day, this is going to be the most important thing we do. So of everything that we talk about today, the theme is community. The theme is that the most important edifice that we're building is not any individual project or company. but this overall mission and values-driven community. I'm deeply grateful for each one of you that's here. And with that, I'm going to invite Mr. Craig Roth up to talk a little bit about LIONSBERG AEC. So come on up, Craig. So AEC, let's clap for this handsome man. So AEC, as you all know, stands for Architecture, Engineering, and Construction. And Tom Matlock, can you wave to everybody? Tom Matlock is a beautiful human soul who has devoted his life to building a wonderful organization of architects and vertical construction builders. A lot of us in here are horizontal infrastructure builders, and we're putting those skill sets together into something that's really going to be unique in our industry, which is an integrated joint company that has the ability to go design, build, operate, and maintain any kind of building or infrastructure that's out there. So Craig Roth has been doing an awesome job serving as a leader of Rockforce. He's going to be stepping into the broader role of leading the integrated LIONSBERG AEC entity, and we'll talk in a minute about Gunner's upcoming role and the exciting things that are on that front as well. So Craig.
Thank you, Jordan. What more can I say? I think that was very well articulated and said. Before I talk a little bit about AEC and what that might mean to all of you, I would like to share a story about myself and why I'm here. Being in my mid-50s, I'll say it, 55 years old, I was set with a very successful company that had revenues in excess of $1 billion a year. And I had my responsibilities in place. I was happy, things were going well, right? So why am I here? Why did I leave? To come to a startup company with a different philosophy. When I first heard it, when Jordan and I met for the first time, I thought I was going to get some intel on how he and his team got the Lake Gregory project. At the time, I was working for a competitor that was second. So when Jordan reached out to meet for lunch, I had my agenda, he had his. I don't think we said one word about the Lake Gregory project at all when we sat down, which was actually kind of nice. So to kind of frame this for you, it wasn't a financial move. Not even close. There was more to it than that. It took me a couple times, actually, over a couple weeks to really try to grasp it, because it was so new, the philosophy. And what really struck me was it actually took me back to the day that I graduated from college in civil engineering, got my first job. Some of you might know the company, XL Paving out of Long Beach. The owner, rest his soul, Kirk Brown Sr., wonderful man, threw me in the laborers union. So I put on a pair of boots, jeans, hard hat, and a pair of gloves, and started shoveling right next to that backhoe. I spent years out in the field learning how to build streets. And at that time, I had just got married. We had our first child, 1.5 years old, and we were struggling. Every paycheck was so important. And then winter came, and the work wasn't there like it was. The economy took a turn, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I looked into the CHP, looked into the fire department. We had one car. My wife had to ride the bike down to Stater Brothers for a jug of milk and diapers. So at that point in time, it was tough. So one day the phone rang, and on the phone was Kirk Brown Sr. He goes, "Craig, would you like to have breakfast tomorrow?" I said, "Absolutely. What time and where?" So we met, and it was life-changing for me. He basically said, your dedication, your hard work, your commitment, your will, and your passion, we would like to bring you into the office and basically give you the opportunity to be an estimator trainee. So 5 days a week, salary, I was like just in heaven. I went home and told my wife, and that is why I'm here. Giving people opportunities, right? Giving people the ability to develop, and given those opportunities and being part of that, for me, means more than a paycheck. So the whole philosophy of Jordan's vision and what he's put his life in this room for, and the total transparency, is to me amazing. And the atypical approach to philosophy in a typical capitalistic company, right? This is far from that, totally different. So for me, that's why I'm here. So I'm here to help develop, help coach, mentor, and provide those type of opportunities for everybody in this room and for the new hires to come. So anyways, that's my story.
So how's LIONSBERG AEC going to shape up and affect us and our industry?
Yeah, LIONSBERG AEC, for those who know what a typical AEC entity looks like Jordan said, it brings the fully integrated service, which brings the architects in, design, it brings in the whole project management, construction management group, it brings in the pre-construction services group, which is the estimating, and the construction group as well, both horizontal and vertical. And the ability to provide a fully integrated service to our clients, to have the ability to take a project from someone's vision conceptually into reality and actually help them bring their vision to life and be part of that all the way through. It's going to offer a totally cradle to grave type of business, and as far as the opportunities go, it's going to open up a wide range of opportunities for the organization and for everybody within it. We are going to be able to not only build ground down, but build ground up. There's civil work, and I think every building project that you see, from sub-training work, basements to parking lots. So the ability to bring this group together, our Matlock team, our Rock Force team, bring that together as one team, like Jordan said, it's going to make us stronger, and it's going to provide security and opportunity. So it's something you don't typically see with an organization of this size. I mean, typically you see the AEComs, the Turners, the Florida Internationals, run with this business model. So for us to get it right now, to get the platform set, the systems in play, there's no limits to what we can do. Building will always be there. People will need things built, and we want to be there to provide the service and better the world, our communities, and give everybody security.
Thank you, Craig. I appreciate it.
All right, Gunner. So, a lot of you have met Gunner, incredible guy, incredible mind. Gunner has been shepherding Matlock Design Build along with Tom and Liz here over the last period of time. And we've been working for a couple years on this very important piece of infrastructure for our community. And so up till now, with what Craig was talking about, you have architecture, engineering, horizontal construction, vertical construction, and that group is sitting there waiting for other people to go decide to do a project and give us an opportunity to bid on it. So working with some of our advisors, the idea came up, well, what if we could fit a tip of the spear onto the company where we could go self-generate our own work and getting into the financing and real estate development so that we could finance, develop, design, build, eventually operate and maintain as well in a complete value chain. So this is exciting with Craig stepping into the LIONSBERG AEC role. Gunner's going to be focusing his time on getting LIONSBERG real estate off and running, and he will tell you a little bit about that.
Good morning. I am very grateful to be here. I'm in awe of the number of people. I haven't seen all of you, so this is exciting to see these faces, some smiling, some scowling, some didn't have enough coffee, but I'm grateful to be here. And yes, my name is Gunner Lee Miller. It's not so cool being named Gunner when you're like 5'10" and an average white guy, so don't pick on me. I'll get Joe Carlo after you. But I'm excited about this revolution. I'm excited about a kind of uprising that we are endeavoring to be in. This is my second revolution, or my second coup, unofficially. The first one you can read about in Al Jazeera. But there's something about what we're doing that strikes me as pretty awesome, as anti-establishment, as, you know what, we're going to do it differently. And I love the challenge of that. So I've been with the family of companies for a little less than 2 years. Had the privilege of working with Rockforce, and through the transition of the ownership, rolling out the operating systems. I had the privilege of being involved in Tom Matlock and the integrating the Matlock design build, rolling out the operating system. So I've gotten to work with amazing professionals, people who can build beautiful things, people who can design beautiful things. It's exciting. I barely can hang cabinets. Like, the cabinets I hang are miserable and they're off always, and my wife yells at me, but I'm always privileged to be around you guys and you gals who can design and build beautiful things. So it's neat to be in this room. It's neat to be in this family of companies. I came back to the US after living overseas for about 10 years. Lived in Asia. I started my own private equity group. We built hotels and resorts, and professionally, it was cool. I got to be a part of some neat projects, got to live in some neat places, visit some things, had some great successes, and had some miserable failures, some real defeats, big mistakes. I'll invite anyone who wants to have a happy hour with me, and we'll talk about our failures, and it'll be a good learning point. But I was involved in hotel development overseas, and personally, my wife and I, we wanted to also be a part of transformation. It's one thing to build a building, that's cool. Buildings eventually rot, they come down. It's another thing to maybe have an impact on a community, or transform a city, or maybe have an impact on a generation. And so we had these really big ideas about wanting to do something more than just build buildings or create things. Could we be a part of transforming lives? And to some extent, it was a neat taste of that. But it was difficult, and we were by ourselves, and it was an important experiment that I figured later in life I would revisit. So in my last project before coming back to the US, I was representing an American investing group that were the majority shareholder of the largest resort to be built in Asia. The first phase was $1.8 billion, and of that, the infrastructure portion alone was $350 million. We were basically building the infrastructure for a size of land about the size of the Las Vegas Strip. So we had to put in the infrastructure and then start building the hotels and resorts. And it was exciting. I felt like, man, my career is taking off. There was some fascinating things I was learning, but also inside, I was wondering, what is all this about? I'm making a lot of money for some very rich people. And I'm having to deal with like punk kids of their billionaire father who don't know what they're talking about, but are yelling and berating other of my colleagues. I'm having to deal with attorneys who are really trying to twist things in a certain way. No offense to attorneys, Bill. That was part of the project I was involved in. There was backstabbing, there was all kinds of brutal behaviors. And I thought, wow, is this really the apex of what is supposed to be happening? And also inside, I was thinking, man, I don't know. I don't know if I'm really doing things I'm called to do. I don't know if I'm helping make things better. I'm just making shareholders really rich. And that's all I could probably be accountable for. So it was during that time that I, fortunately or unfortunately, met Jordan. And he started to infiltrate my mind. It was like a Matrix movie, you know, when Neo first meets Morpheus. And he has these questions. It's not so much that like Jordan put weird thoughts in my head. He just asked questions and thoughts that were already in my head. Like, what are you about, Gunnar? Like, what's your life gonna amount to? What are you gonna really have in the end? What kind of testimony are you gonna have? What kind of legacy are you gonna have? Second half of my 40s, 47. Hopefully I'm at the halfway point in my life. I don't know what happens when I drive home today, but like if I am at the halfway point in my life, what am I gonna do the second half? How am I gonna do it differently? How am I gonna give myself away in a manner that has meaning, has legacy, has a testimony, has impact? I can build some buildings, that's cool, but can I do something in addition to that? So, in this process of getting to know Jordan and being invited to join this community, I get the privilege of wrestling with these fundamental questions of what am I going to do with the skills God's given me? What am I going to do with responsibilities God's given me? How am I going to steward? How am I going to help my brothers and sisters next to me to grow to their best? How am I going to help people develop professionally? Because there's all kinds of things you all want to do and you want to improve at. How can I be a part of that so you can grow and get better at what you want to do? That's the journey I'm on with all of you and with LIONSBERG. Functionally, what I'm going to be doing now are two things, basically. We're launching our LIONSBERG Real Estate Group. It is an endeavor that's very important to us. We've been wanting to launch this. We've been laying the groundwork. It's time to kind of put our money where our mouth is, Mr. McGilton, and get this thing going, right? So, the LIONSBERG Real Estate Group. These are our fundamental goals. Number one, we want to go out and help put projects together, spearhead projects, bring them together, help do the funding for them, do what we can to get projects going that feeds our family of companies. If we got projects that need design, that need vertical construction or horizontal or infrastructure, that is a fundamental goal of ours, to get projects in the door. More projects, more diversity of projects, build our skill sets so that we can be tougher, we can be more capable of handling any kind of recession that might be thrown at us, that we become a bigger, badder, nicer, more beautiful. I'm gonna add those words for our designers here. Not everything is rough construction, folks. So that's one of our fundamental goals. Number two, we want to build a real estate portfolio. We might have controlling interest in some projects. We might be able to have a minority share in some projects, and we're going to be patient and we're going to be disciplined. We want to grow a portfolio of real estate because that could really help us later with other things we might have in the company, like kinds of pensions or some of the things we hope to be able to look at in the coming years. A second group that I'm going to be helping with, and with Bill also leading the way, is a capital group. LIONSBERG Capital, I could say it very crassly, funding, money. There's a lot we can do with that, and it takes some strategy to put together the capital to go out and do projects, but also to go out and think about ways in which we can do mergers and acquisitions. Now, we have two wonderful positive stories to date in LIONSBERG. The first one is Mr. Tom Matlock, who after 43 years of being an outstanding master builder, designer and builder, has put his company into the LIONSBERG family. We've engrafted his company. That's a tremendous thing to be able to do. We've also done the same with Sean and S90. Sean has he'll tell you his story, brought a company up, and he sees how it fits into the LIONSBERG family. So to be able to find other companies with great values, great people that want to join the community, that's going to take some capital, but we can engraft them. So that's another aspect of LIONSBERG Capital. I fundamentally will do what the leadership team needs or requires. So if in a couple of years this gets started and other people take over and I can rotate to being a head valet or doing something else, that's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to move and fit where the team needs me to move and fit. So I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful for your stories. I'd love to share with you my failures at a time, and we can grow together. And watch out when Jordan talks to you, because he might ask you to take the red pill.
Mr. Sean Crowley. Sean Crowley's been a wonderful, longtime friend and brother of mine, and he will tell you a little bit about his story and S90 technology that's come into LIONSBERG to form a key piece of our ongoing infrastructure for growth.
Thank you, Jordan. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sean Crowley, like you just said, the leader of S90 Technology and a proud member of LIONSBERG. I'm grateful to be able to share a little bit about my story and why we're here today. Community and excellence. Being the best and belonging with people that share my values. These are the things that have driven me since I was a small boy growing up in a trailer park with big dreams of being successful and not being held back by the limitations that I was born into. And for me, in my journey, that meant becoming an entrepreneur. And so 15 years ago, I started an IT company with the purpose of providing exceptional cutting-edge services, great customer service. And our team has been really successful over the last few years, and we've been really able to be blessed in that aspect. And even too, like as a leader and as a team, we've been able to truly achieve excellence. And but through that all, there was always something that was missing. We were a solid team, no doubt, but we still weren't a part of a community. And so that's why I'm here today. S90 has joined the LIONSBERG community because we know and believe that it's going to propel us to truly achieve our best and highest purpose. Being a part of a community allows for the victories to be sweeter and the achievements to be more fulfilling, because we didn't want to just be another IT company. We really wanted to truly be a part of a mission-driven community that is going to revolutionize the business world, as Jordan just explained, and that is what it means to be a part of LIONSBERG. Now, I know many of you guys, many of us here today have our own stories of how we've gotten to this place as being members of LIONSBERG. But what truly connects us is this shared purpose of being a part of a community that's special. Something that will allow us to discover and achieve our personal best and highest. And at the same time, giving back and making the world a better place. So I just want to take advantage of this opportunity to thank Jordan for inviting me and my team into being a part of this community. It's truly special, and there's no one more equipped and more qualified to take us on this journey. And I'm extremely excited for the road ahead. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. And Tiffany's going to come up now. Welcome. Yeah, Tiffany. So you're talking about some of the exciting things that are going to be happening on the benefits road.
Hi guys, how are you? I don't have any, they have pretty interesting backgrounds. I'm just a loud girl from New York, so that's me. But I am excited about the LIONSBERG family. I'm excited about merging all these companies together and adding all these new entities. And with that, January 1st, we're gonna have we're gonna have benefits that we're merging all together. So January 1st, we're all gonna be together. It's gonna open us up for bigger, like a bigger variety of benefits, more supplemental plans. It's gonna save us some money. I just started implementing our new HR system, which I know doesn't thrill all you guys, but it thrills me because you're going to be able to log into this HR system and you're gonna be able to look at your paycheck, you're gonna be able to pick your benefits in that system. You are, performance reviews, you're gonna be able to go in there and actually participate in your own performance review in this system, so that would be neat. Yeah, so that's about it. I'm gonna tell you more about all this later, but those are the things that are coming together as we're joining as a team. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, takeaway there is that in community benefits get better, not worse. Jeff Hale is the integrator of our One LIONSBERG platform. So as we get multiple companies launched, what we're really trying to get in place concurrently with that is a scalable central platform to support the growth and infrastructure of those companies. Jeff, I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's interesting. I feel like my career and life journey has brought me here. Not to Pomona, but to LIONSBERG. And I'll talk a little bit about it. I've been very fortunate in my career. Had a chance to work with a variety of companies and a variety of positions, from 2 people at a company to a world-class top 10 company, doing a multitude of things, including construction, digging ditches, stacking lumber, building homes, doing all that kind of stuff. Other industries, other positions, things that I've been fortunate enough to take on responsibility to really work with just about every department of a company. And so I feel that journey has led me here. Partly, Kelsey led me here. You guys know Kelsey. I heard and knew Kelsey before this and found out she was working here and working long hours, and I thought, boy, she needs some help. I can come in and offload some of that, improve her quality of life, and help out with the organization. What I came to find out is that's partly why I've stayed, but I'm staying because of the vision of what is happening now with LIONSBERG and what we're doing. It's suited to my skill set. It's suited to what I thought and wanted to do. When I think about it, LIONSBERG is about being better at the vision of what we want to do, the grandeur, the scope, the mission of what we're going to do, the team and the people that I get to work with here, and how we want to conduct ourselves with each other, within our communities. It resonated to me. It's better. I ran my own company for over 10 years, and what I've got here is better. And it sold me on the vision that we're trying to do here, and it's why I want to be part of it. So I feel very fortunate and thankful for Jordan, for the generosity and the vision that he's helped provide here, because it was better than what I came up with. I was making a ripple in the pond. I think together we can make a much bigger splash as an organization, so I'm excited about that. So for me, LIONSBERG, it's the right place, and it's the right fit. And I hope after you hear and think about it and learn more in the months and quarters ahead, it'll be the right place for you, and we can work together to really make this something special. Do you have that slide?
All right. First, we have Kelsey's amazing tree.
Oh, we're going to do the tree first? Okay.
Here's the clicker.
Go ahead.
Here's the clicker.
Oh, we got to use the clicker?
That's what it is.
Okay. So we're talking LIONSBERG. We're going to use a tree analogy here because it's a very easy, simple approach. We've got the foundation of the company, and on the trunk, if you can read it in the back of the room, it says One LIONSBERG. Through that branch, we're going to be able to support different things. The AEC organization, which comprises Rockhorse, Matlock, is also going to support and be part of the service, the S90, the technology component. We'll also have, as you heard today, the introduction of the real estate, capital. And on top of that, what's going to happen is, as this tree grows, there's going to be more branches. You heard Jordan talk about all these extra entities that may be coming on. Terrific. We're going to start there. There may be other things in the years to come. But the point is, we're going to be able to grow a really solid foundation with deep roots and I think make something special. What I'm going to do real quick while I'm up here before I sit down and Kelsey comes up, I want to introduce a little bit about the One LIONSBERG platform. For those that haven't had the opportunity to sit down and talk with us, what we're trying to do is a few things. One, build a professional services administrative team servicing our entire community, coming together as one, so that these different functional areas that support what's happening out in the field, on the projects and so forth, we can allow more of that time to really focus on that work and do good quality work where we help with things such as human resources, finance, the information technology, working on the processes, the administration, branding, marketing, and yes, safety in conjunction with what's happening in the field. So we're working with you guys as a team to try to make that happen. Additionally, we're going to try to come together in terms of, you heard Tiffany talk about this a little bit, some central benefits, common payroll provider for our LIONSBERG team. So we don't think of ourselves as different companies, we think of ourselves as one family, one community, coming together as we grow and go into different areas. And on top of that, we're looking forward to, with Sean as 90 and our technology partners, a really solid technology platform to pull all this stuff off. You heard Tiffany talk about a system, so we've got multiple things happening. Some examples are the human resource HRIS system that she talked about. We're working on a finance system that was going to get us a little better information for everybody so that we can manage our projects and manage our company and get to the point to increase the rewards that we can offer not only to our organization but also to the communities. Other technology advances, we've already put in a few in place, and there'll be more of those to come in the quarters ahead. And I'm calling it human elevation. Jordan talked about this, the coaching, mentoring, and all that. It's really important to me. I've come from organizations where we've seen the success of that, and the people are the most important aspect of what we do. So what can we do to help support that training and development? So in the quarters ahead, we're going to be putting together more programs, more opportunities for all of our folks as part of this community. We're working on processes so we can actually, get better at what we're doing. Administrative resources, supplies, all that stuff's going to come together. We're working on branding and marketing plans. We've also got, we're training the team a lot of safety initiatives and training things around the playbook as well. So I just want to give you a sense of some of these things, and these things are happening now. There's other things happening now, but in the quarters, years ahead, we're going to just keep building and trying to get things better for all of us. Listen, do me a favor. For the administrative support people, would you mind standing real quick? Go ahead. Everybody, in part of the administrative functions I just talked about, if you could stand. Yeah, come on, be part of that. Y'all know, stand up, you guys. First of all, I want to say thank you to that group for the work you're doing. Don't sit down. Now, can everybody else stand up for me? You've been saying a little bit. Everybody else stand up for me, please. Now, if you look around this room, to me, this is one LIONSBERG. We're one team. We're all working together, and I very much appreciate it, and thank you for everything everybody's doing.
All right, Jeff, you have to bring my clicker back though. Oh, here it is. Hello, Kelsey. This is you. No, this is you. You guys all know Kelsey. Kelsey's amazing.
Oh, wow. What an introduction. All right. I'm Kelsey, and I have been here for a little bit, almost 3.5 years. And it was not always the smoothest journey for me. But it just kind of started out, like we knew that we were a different company. We knew we were better. We knew we had plans to do service. And, I loved the community that I was in when I first started. And I was getting ready to leave just in the beginning when I was like Jeff said, I was working long hours, was really stressed out. And I think it was my first real job. I don't have a long past history like all these people, but, and so I was didn't really know what to expect. And then I talked to Jordan and he was like, trust me, just wait, hold on. And I was like, yeah, I've always felt a sense of purpose at Rockforce, and now with LIONSBERG, I've always felt that we were ready to do something bigger, but I couldn't see it. And so I think after speaking with Jordan, he's like, just hang on a little bit longer, give me some time. and here we are, and I gave us time, and I'm so thankful that I stayed. I'm just so grateful to be here and be alongside of all of you guys. I mean, I see some people that, you know, we started 3.5 years ago together, so, yep. So I'm just so excited to see that these people also stuck around and trusted Jordan, trusted the vision, and trusted that we would one day get here. And it's not a destination, but it's a journey. So I know we're still gonna keep building and growing together, which is why I'm so excited to share with you. We had our first day of service last year at Lake Forest Sports Park. We started there, we went to 9 different locations, nonprofit locations in Orange County. And we had just under 70 people, and I see a lot of people here were there. We had some people from S90, we had Matlock, and we had Rock Forest there. And I just want to keep growing that and getting bigger and better. So we have our next one on September 14th, which is a Saturday. It's gonna be the same setup, and I want to try to double it in size. So if you guys can all come, that'd be great. September 14th, and we had under 70 people last year, and we want to hopefully double it this year. We're going to go to a lot of the same locations that we went to last year. And so alongside with that, increasing our time doing service, we also did a food drive in conjunction with Matlock for Bethany Church last year, which I really appreciate. Everybody donating food and money so that we can provide Thanksgiving dinner to people. And we also did a clothing drive for women helping women, so I really appreciate that. They're a really great organization that you guys can have the opportunity to serve with in September. They help people get ready for job interviews, they do job coaching and stuff, and so that's a really great organization. And we had another project, we did a Second Harvest Food Bank, which some of the team members went to. And so we're trying to get more and more service going, trying to do 1 a quarter at least, Rock Forest, Matlock, S90, and so I think we're off to a great start. And so hopefully I'll see all of you guys at the day of service on September 14th, right? Great, okay, so much enthusiasm. So I'm really excited for that. And if you guys obviously have any, nonprofits that you guys are a part of, or that you really think is a really great nonprofit to be a part of, let us know, and we can try to hopefully send some people out to do something there or do some kind of service with them as well. And I just want to open that up. So just email me, and I'll see you guys on September 14th.
Awesome.
Thank you, Cal City. All right. Thank you guys for persevering through this. I know this was a little bit longer than we had planned on, so I'm grateful we made it down to our final speaker, Mr. Bill Larson. Please come on up. So Bill, very, very special, interesting human. It would take him multiple days to share the fullness of his story. I hope you guys can get to know him over time, but after multiple years talking to top foundation advisors, attorneys, CPAs all over the country, Bill is finally the very creative, smart legal mind that allowed us to help consolidate these things and pull this together. So he's going to just share quickly his story and talk a little bit about the foundation that we've put in place.
Well, I'm sorry for my voice. I lost it yesterday, and when I got back, it sounds like Ivan Rebrov. He was a Russian singer who had a 5-octave range. He started where you couldn't hear, and he ended where you couldn't hear, and I'm just down at the bottom. So, I'm not going to give you a disclaimer at the end of all these discussions. You hear those TV commercials where the real fast voice comes on at the end and they're giving you some kind of a legal disclaimer? Well, I don't think much of the legal aspect of this will interest all of you. So I'm going to tell you a story. And the story is that I've got a life that has spanned many decades already. And along the way, I've accumulated some very strange life experiences. I had my own business, I had a painting business, I did all kinds of work in that. I was a truck driver, I've taught English, I taught violin in Iran during the revolution. I helped get hippies off the drug trail, lived in Spain for a couple of years, lived there when Franco died. I had been general counsel of the university. I've done business litigation. I fought battles in court, have funny stories about that. I was general counsel for a university and learned a lot of lessons there. I've been in sole practice. I've been in a partnership, put together nonprofits. I've been on boards. I've had very many adventures. And what does it all add to? Well, red tie here. I was 14 years old when Yellow Submarine came out as a song. This is an official Beatles Apple Core tie. And we all live in a yellow submarine. We're all together on this little dot we call Earth. And what are we doing with the years we have? That's been the question in all of our lives. One way or another, either we're running away from that question or we're running towards it. But it's the question that hangs over us. So what did I learn from all these things I've done? I've learned that you better have the right partners in life or you can get knifed in the back. You better find your place or you won't be fulfilled. You better find meaning. We better find meaning or life will be fruitless. We need to we're building something. So all the things that I learned all those years and all the different jobs I've had, I've learned about finance and partnership and legal stuff and relationships. That's my toolbox. And every one of us in this room has a story. Everyone experienced things that to us are deeply meaningful or deeply troubling. And the good and the bad alike combine to give us a toolbox. So the question is, what are we going to build with our toolkit? I have my toolkit. I've applied it to helping Jordan in coming alongside, working with the team to build some structures that are there to protect us. And that's what legal structures do. Here we have this. It's not that complicated to me or to Jordan or to these guys, but you're seeing some of this for the first time. So don't pay too much attention to it, except to know this. All these different entities and all of the different relationships here are being designed to protect a vision, to protect values, to protect opportunity. I look at law like the shell of a crab. It protects the life within. It provides the appropriate structure. And if our rules start to kill the life and they can't grow appropriately, or if they're not there, and it just loose, we end up like a jellyfish. It gets smashed real easily. We need both the structure and the freedom. So crabs shed their shells and they grow another shell, same shape, a little bigger. So this is basically like the legal shell of a crab. And so instead of going through a whole bunch of stuff I could and giving you legal disclaimers and boring you to tears, I'm going to leave you with one thought, well, two thoughts. We are trying to build an open culture where if you've got a question, you can pick up the phone and call somebody. You know, we're not building this steep hierarchical culture. We're flattening it out so that everybody has the opportunity to move freely between the different departments, maybe even change their career, have access to people, have transparent contact with the financials, with the responsibilities, and everything we're trying to do. And secondly, we're answering this question: what are we going to build? What are you going to build? What am I going to build? And I want that one day, the people that come after me and they look at my grave, or they read my memoirs, or they say, I knew your grandpa, they're going to say, he did something that lasted. And what really lasts is when we pass the torch to somebody who carries the values we share. It's when we do something that makes a difference in society. And that's what we are all trying to do. We're trying to build something, whether it's made of bricks or cement or wood or ideas or writing or hearts or happy kids that are doing things and being fulfilled. We're all building something. So the question is, are we going to have somebody come after us and say, I want to do what they did. I want to build something too, because that is valuable. That's all I have to say for now. Open door policy.
the end of you having to listen to people talk. So now what we're going to do is we want to have just an open time of questions and answers, but we're going to do that within the context of a little teamwork exercise. So there's probably a lot of questions in the room.